The second Bothan Invitational has come and gone, and hundreds of players came to Cards HQ over the November 14th weekend to prove who is the very best in Star Wars Unlimited. In this video, I'm going to take a look at the results, tell you a little about the event from the TO's perspective, and we can see what it means for the upcoming meta. This is the Bothan Invitational 2 Meta Breakdown from TCG HQ. Today we're going to be using SWU Competitive Hub to go over the different tournaments that happen at BIATL. That's going to be the 3v3 event that I'll talk a little bit about myself, the first and second pool of the 8K event, that's $8,000 in prize support, as well as the top 16 that both of those pools fed into. I'll also comment on the draft event that happened on Sunday. The structure of that event changed over the course of the weekend, but we still ran it and it was still a great time. Let's start off with the 3v3 event. So that 3v3 event, we're not going to have the results on SWU Competitive Hub naturally because the 3v3 event wasn't able to be run as efficiently in Melee as the other pools were. The 3v3 event had each team captain on the event itself, and they paired themselves and reported through the team captain's Melee account, but otherwise it was a manual process where all of the team members sent their deck lists to one of the Cards HQ emails so that we had them on file and didn't do any of that through Melee. We also handled the top 8 bracket for that event manually rather than running it through Melee. The big story is, of course, KTOD's huge win. Congratulations to those guys. They took down the 3v3 team event for a second time in a row, both at the first Bothan Invitational in March and the second one that we held just this past weekend. They did phenomenal. I watched them play live. I saw them take down team after team after team. It was Ophir Maram, Wu himself, on Quinlan Tarkentown, John Tata on Ray Datavault, and of course CJ Chrono, the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, on Towson Red. Those guys are of course some of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in the Star Wars Unlimited community, some of the very best players as well. Congrats to those guys. They walked away with a huge share of the prize pool, $1,200 for their team, for getting first place in the 3v3 event, and of course the bragging rights for taking down both of the major 3v3 team events in Star Wars Unlimited this year is going to last them well to next Galactic Championship and beyond. And that's another note. FFG, if you are watching this video, everybody loves 3v3. We would absolutely love an opportunity to play for Galactic Championship points for a 3v3, whether that is at a FFG official event, a sector or regional or something like that, or something else. Y'all know where to find me if you want to talk about that. We're now going to go ahead and take a look at the two different pools of the 8K event. So that is two 128 capacity events that both fed into the top 16 on Sunday. The thing is, we had 101 players for the Friday night into Saturday morning pool because a lot of folks were tired from that 3v3. We went from 132 players in the 3v3 to 101 in the first pool. That is because of the exhaustion that a BIATL event causes, but a lot of competitive players were telling me that it did improve their tournament stamina, which is really important as well. So there is a benefit there. In the future, we probably won't be running an event that crazy. We'll probably be sticking to one major event per day so that that doesn't happen again. But for those 101 players that were vying it out for the top spots, let's take a look at how everybody did. And of course, the immediate story here is going to be how incredible Red Green Hero did, specifically Red Green Hero Datavault decks. If we look at the minutia of it, we have one Han Solo from set 2, that's Han Solo Worth the Risk Datavault deck from Copycat 99. If we take a look at his list, he has a ton of different really interesting tech cards here that of course you'll see in decks. You'll see in decks like Han Solo Blue, that's Han 2 Blue. You'll see them in Han 2 ECL. But of course, the goal for this deck is using the extra size of your deck that Datavault gives you, that 10 extra cards, is just giving you more of an ability to remove your opponent's stuff, play more top end. Like we have 3 Crate Dragons in here, we have 3 Keller and Bex, we have 3 of pretty much every heavy hitting unit, as well as things that Han 2 is able to take advantage of, like Poe Dameron, One Hell of a Pilot, a card that feels like it's practically made for Han Solo. And then, of course, there's a bunch of different cards that are good for the sideboard. You know, we have a Kill Spell and Chewbacca. We have 3 Marin that can hit space, 3 Bombing Run, of course, and then 3 Fell the Dragon. And just a deck that is absolutely loaded up with so many different units that are really sticky, really tough to remove, even with the 2 damage that Hantu gives them. And if we take a look at the matchup spread, he took down a couple of my teammates, actually, George and Joel. Hey guys, some of my teammates on the Bothan network. We see that he took down George on Chancellor Palpatine, the Plot Palpatine, and on Colossus base. So that's a double blue deck. He took down Piet. And then, of course, there's Boba Fett. We've seen a lot of Boba Fett in the meta the last few sets. Pretty much since he came out, people have been trying to make Boba Fett work. That's indirect damage Boba Fett from Jump to Lightspeed. We, of course, have Han Solo from set 1. A lot of that was at, we have 2 of those, actually. We have one, of course, this was an ID to get into the top 8. But we have 2 different Han Solo Audacious Smuggler lists, one of which was green, which we've seen Han green since set 1, really. That's a space-leaning deck. You know, now it utilizes cards like Chewbacca and Keller and Beck to really go wide in both arenas and make your opponent deal with a lot of threats, because Han Solo is able to also get these things out earlier. Your opponent has to deal with a lot of endgame threats earlier in the game than they would against other decks. So very good matchup spread here. We can see that the versatility of Han Solo worth the risk on Data Vault is very evident. And then the real story here is going to be the 1st and 2nd place finishes from Grumpy Elephant and Pasquale, 2 teammates on McClunky. Congrats to you guys for doing so well in this pool. They brought some spice to the event, and this is the talk of the town. This deck is what everybody was wanting to learn more about. We've got Anakin Skywalker, What It Takes to Win, the Anakin leader from Twilight of the Republic, on Data Vault. This is a pairing that we hadn't really seen before. Anakin Skywalker specifically was normally only ever played with blue. You could get a really grindy red-blue hero deck out of Anakin plus a blue base, whether it was Force or not, and we had seen that deck see some play. But this is really the first time where we're seeing Anakin Skywalker paired with Command, specifically Data Vault, for a lot of the same reasons that the Han Solo deck was, where you're just seeing they're loading their deck up with a lot of units that specifically Anakin really wants to take advantage of. You, of course, have cards like Mina Bonteri that let you draw a card. You have cards like Outer Rim Constable that's going to defeat an upgrade, so a pesky Chewbacca, and because it's Anakin Skywalker, now that 2-cost 3/1, which is normally not the best stat line, you're only playing it to kill an upgrade, instead of it just being an innocent, innocuous 3/1 that's not going to do anything, it can now hit for 5, taking out pretty much any early unit in the game. And you can see that here. You know, Cobb Vanth, the Marshal, one of the most interesting tech cards from set 2, Shadows of the Galaxy. Cobb Vanth, of course, when he's defeated, you get to search an amount of cards, I believe it's 10 from the top of your deck, and put a unit that costs 2 or less into your discard, and you can play it later in the turn for free. With Anakin specifically, even though he costs 3, not a great stat line on him, 3/2, because it's Anakin, you can actually hit up into things with 5 health. You go from 3 to 5 by using his ability, and then your Cobb Vanth gets defeated and their unit gets defeated, but you're replacing it with the unit that Cobb Vanth got. So that kind of interaction there, that's the core function of this Anakin Skywalker deck, where the whole goal is to outvalue your opponents. And there was a really popular deck as well over the weekend, a deck that I played in the 3v3 event, Ray Data Vault. Ray Data Vault actually made top 8 in this pool as well, from Raymond Linton. Very nice player, really great guy, grinds tournaments. Shout out to Raymond, Ray on Ray. Anakin Skywalker rips through Ray Data Vault. It rips through most blue-green hero decks. I think that the real outcome for me as a blue-green hero player, seeing this Anakin list, and I think a lot of other mid-range decks need to take a look at this and consider this, is can my units with 5 health compete with what Anakin is trying to do? Can it compete with all of these things that are going to be hitting for 5 constantly? Can it compete with all of these things that are going to have lightsabers on them? If the answer is no, well, really, you need to consider where you can go from there. Like, where does Ray Vault go? For me personally, I'm thinking shielded units might be the play, whether it's Secretive Sage or playing cards that have more interaction whenever they get defeated. We're already playing a lot of them, but, you know, is Owen Lars coming back? Are we trying to play the pass claim game more? Are we trying to start with initiative, and that's going to really determine what we're mulliganing for? There's a lot of deck theory there, and Anakin is this really exciting deck because it's a new take on a leader we've seen before. However, taking that leader and pairing him with Data Vault and pairing him with all of these new cards, a lot of which are from set 6. You know, there's Mina, there's Karis Nemec, arguably the very best card in set 6. That card is crazy here because it will almost always kill something and leave behind that readied spy token, which can also on a future turn attack for 4. A lot of crazy plays here. I mean, I'm just looking at these lists. I'm looking at this list and seeing so many different things that just make life really hard for a lot of different decks. And of course, they have the 3 Jedi Starfighter, which takes out pretty much anything in space. And then the rest of the top 8 is really your usual suspects. We've got Quinlan Voss. Carlos A was playing that. I actually played Carlos in the 3v3. Very nice guy. And of course, 2 Han Solo green lists. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the other pool now, and we'll see these 8 lists come back when we take a look at the top 16. If we move to the second pool, and this second pool specifically is actually going to be where a lot of the players that were performing really, really well at a high level in the 3v3 event, the KTOD teams, Raytan's team, all of those guys, they're all here as well. They, instead of playing in pool 1, hence the 30-player drop, instead of playing in pool 1, they rested up, came back at noon the next day, and we've got this breakdown, and we actually see 2 of the names from that winning KTOD team repeat here. We have KTOD Chrono, CJ, on Han Solo ECL, the more traditional version of what we would see Han Solo from set 2 and Command combined to be. ECL, of course, lets you punch really hard with your Wrecker. It lets you punch really hard with your Poe. And even if you have already used your ECL, you've already used any timelies you might be playing, you can still play those really powerful units on a turn sooner with 2 damage on it, which is just, the reason Han Solo has been so powerful for so long. But the real spice from this specific list, we of course see some old reliables that we've had in metas past. Yoda green, that's floated in and out of competitive conversations. It's never been tier 1. I wouldn't even really define it as tier 2. It's definitely rogue. But Yoda paired with Data Vault, we've seen do crazy things on stream. Yoda green force, it can play the big Yona unit, which can shut some games out completely for certain decks. But the real spice here, congrats to all these guys on these pre-established lists, but we of course see Anakin Data Vault, Tyler Mersing, another McClunky player who I've played in tournament, very great player, great guy. He of course is making it here, continuing that epic run that McClunky had over at BIATL this past weekend. He's 4th here in the top 8, but the real spice here, this is actually my teammate, Andrew Reflex, on Yoda Tarkin Town. That's set 3 Yoda using the Tarkin Town base. This is a really grindy mid-range deck that's at the top end of mid-range, so we're really skirting the lines in control here. Because Yoda is such a powerful 7 flip, and because you have plot cards like Sudden Ferocity, you're able to really pump up Yoda's flip to where that's the kill turn very often. If your opponent hasn't worked on closing out the game, because Tarkin Town, 25 health, it's not a lot. Sometimes Yoda will get run over by space because of that. But in the event that you're going up against another mid-range deck, there's really not a scenario in which Yoda is going to lose that game long term. Yoda is able to take out boards systematically and surgically. And then whenever you flip, you have a 4/9 on flip that immediately defeats something, and you can plot out 2 Sudden Ferocity. So all of the sudden, your Yoda is going to be hitting for 10, healing 2 every time it hits. Or you play 1 Sudden Ferocity, and then you Aggressive Negotiations for another 5 damage. Yeah, the list is crazy, and when my teammates were talking about it, it was really hard not to get excited because it was this really unique take on Yoda that hadn't been seen really before. We were seeing Yoda Force, Yoda Red Force was a playable deck during set 5 meta when Force Throw was legal, but now playing with Tarkin Town really gives you the ability to punch up. You have so much incidental damage. You've got things like, you've got the Starfighter, you've got, let's see here, yeah, Adigalia, that's more damage on base. Of course, Aggressive Negotiations, Knowledge and Defense, pairing that with the Rey with Palpatine's power unit. You draw that, suddenly you're defeating something that has 4 health and drawing a card. That's really powerful. All these plays just stack up damage, they stack up value, and that's what Andrew did all day long. Watching him play was really great. He beat some truly phenomenal players here. If we take a look, he beat another one of our teammates, Frank Soldak, one of the folks that helped me run the event. Shout out to Frank. He beat Adam, good friend of mine in the SWU community. He beat Adam on Ray. He beat a Han Yellow. He beat another teammate Joel on Admiral Piet, and then of course one of the big wins of his day was actually beating Wu, another one of the KTOD players that made it into top 8. Really great run by Andrew. And if we go ahead and take a look at the top 16, this is when the $8,000 was handed out. Currently, we have, it looks like SWU Competitive Hub actually only has the bracket posted, but you can see the breakdown of the way that the matches went. We see that Anakin Data Vault advanced at least one round every single time that it went through. And of course, I actually think this result here, Pasquale was eliminated by Carlos. The SWU Competitive Hub has that one result incorrect. It was Carlos versus Philip Samuelson in the finals here. And of course, we didn't talk about Han1 Green much whenever we saw that list, because Han1 Green has been a known factor for a long time. And in fact, the winner, Philip, also a McClunky Gaming competitor, he actually won this exact event last time. So we had two different versions of a repeat champion. We had two KTOD teams, the KTOD team, winning back-to-back 3v3s. And of course, Philip, coming in from Europe, winning two back-to-back main premier pools, taking a huge cash prize home. We paid out Philip $2,500 for how well he did in this event. And of course, Han is just such a, it's a real grinder's deck. If you practice with Han and you understand the lines and you don't have Force Throw legal in the meta, Han Green is just one of the most adaptable, powerful decks that, you can manipulate your resources, you can manipulate the cards in your deck, you can do so many different things and play cards in a way that so many decks can't deal with. And in the event that you're able to resupply turn 1 or you're able to Falcon turn 1, you're going to be snowballing an advantage over time that a lot of decks have to deal with very quickly. And if they can't, they just lose. And that's something that seemed to be a continuum for Philip this weekend, is just continuously rolling over opponents, continuously 2-0ing, barely dropped any games all weekend. So congratulations to Philip, and congratulations to all of McClunky for really having a breakout go of it here at BIATL. Simultaneously, I want to shout out, Andrew, of course, my teammates, the Bothan Network. You guys are all wonderful. We had a great weekend. The Bothan Invitational, of course, it is our event. We ran it together. Frank, Courtney, you guys are awesome. It was a great weekend. We do also, I want to shout out Ian and Crispy, both of those guys, teammates of mine. Ian being one of the pioneers of the Yoda Tarkentown deck. He didn't get the same results, but fortunately we did get that list in the top 16. But Ian and Crispy both won draft pods that paid out $200 each on the Sunday event, which is really cool. We want to see more fan-run competitive events where there's real good prizing for sealed, for draft, because this is a great way to engage with the game. We're finally seeing FFG give us official, very successful events with hundreds of people playing in them that are just sealed and limited. We were able to do that as well. We're participating in that, and it's really great to see that we had so many people. We had 40 players participating in our draft event on Sunday, which the goal was 64, but 40 is still phenomenal. That's one of the largest, if not the largest, fan-run competitive sealed events that we've had yet in Star Wars Unlimited. So that is BIATL 2. We had a great weekend, hundreds of players. It was a really humbling experience, both to play in it with my teammates, John and David. Shout out to you guys. You guys are the best. We had a great go of it. I personally went 3-2-1 in the 6 rounds. We were still in it until the last round. We, of course, lost to another Bothan team. There's a lot of great that happened in the Star Wars Unlimited community over BIATL weekend. And for those of you who watched on the For the Network channel, we appreciate you. We're actually sitting currently in the studio where it was live streamed. Cards HQ is always super happy to see such a wonderful turnout for our large-scale Bothan Invitational events that we run with the team. We're always super grateful for the amount of engagement that gets. We're super grateful for the amount of name recognition that we now have in the Star Wars Unlimited community. And if you are participating in BIATL, you spent your hard-earned dollars to come visit the store, I want to give you a personal thank you. I really appreciate it. If we didn't get a chance to meet, I'm Nick. I was the person running the event up at the front counter. And it's always a labor of love. It's always so many hard hours, long hours, trying to put it together, but it's always worth it. So thank you for those of you who came and those of you who watched. We really appreciate it. And the results speak for themselves. We have an interesting meta to look forward to, and I need to figure out how to play this Anakin deck because it looks really sweet. Thank you all very much for watching. If you're interested in more competitive coverage of Star Wars Unlimited events, let us know. We normally don't do this type of video on this channel, but because it was our event, we wanted to try something out. If you like this content, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Take care.